Hey guys, welcome back to Magic TV. My name's Craig. It is 12 o'clock on a Sunday, which means it's time for a Q&A. Now, this is where I take all the questions that you've asked over the course of the week and I try to answer them to the best of my ability. As I say every Sunday, thank you from the bottom of my heart. Thank you so much for anybody that's watched a video or interacted on this channel. From the bottom of my heart, I appreciate you. Thank you so much. Also, please don't forget that if you want to get your question answered, you want to get it in pretty early. I film these normally on a Tuesday. Sometimes it can be a Wednesday. Today, I'm actually filming it on a Monday afternoon. So it's literally the only day this week that I've got to film the Q&A. So any questions that come in after Monday, they're going to have to wait or you're going to have to ask them again. So you want to get your question answered, put it in as soon as possible. If I miss your question, I'm ever so sorry. Leave it down below and I'll get back to it the following week. You get my raw unfiltered opinions. I haven't read these questions beforehand. So I will be giving you like my off-the-cuff answers, but if I think a question deserves a longer answer, that is something that I'll put together for the following, for a future video. With that being said, there are quite a few questions this week, so we're going to get straight into it. And without further ado, we're going into this week's Q&A. Okay, so the first question is from Barrier Fusion, who says, "Hi, Craig. Hey, buddy, how you doing? I bought a Rattle dice from you at Magic Live because of your amazing routine. You mentioned you filmed it with the explanation. When will this be released?" Yes, buddy, I did film it. I went straight from Magic Live to Columbus and I filmed my full routine that I was demming at Magic Live. I know that they've got a ton of stuff on at the moment, but I also know that I know that they're in the middle of editing stuff. So it will be dropped into people's accounts at some point soon. I will check with Sean and Mandy and the rest of the team and find out when that is. But I can imagine it coming sooner rather than later. But from my point of view, I've done the whole routine. I filmed it. It is in Penguin's hands. And Rattle Dice is amazing. I haven't actually done a review on it yet, but it will be coming soon. And I'm telling you, Rattle Dice is one of the best tricks that I've picked up this year. It's amazing. And I'll tell you something else as well. Eric Tate has got a killer routine for Rattle Dice, like a killer routine that immediately when he told it me, I was like, no way, that's brilliant. So I know he'll be filming that at some point soon for Penguin as well. And that's what I love about Penguin Magic. They're constantly reinvigorating their tutorials and adding more content as they do. But yeah, it's filmed. It's coming soon. I'll see if I can get a definitive date for you before next Sunday. Okay, so the next question is from Divishan Magician, who says, "Does Timeless work in a walk-around situation?" Now, there's two tricks that I'm aware of that are called Timeless. The first one is by Liam Mortimer, and it's a very old trick that came out through Vanishing Ink many, many years ago. And if you don't know that, by the way, it is absolutely incredible. So you have a watch on your wrist, and you have somebody, you're spinning the dial on the watch, and you have somebody say stop whenever they want to. When they say stop, you show them the time, and then they hold onto the watch in their hand. No switches, no nothing taken away. And you tell them the time, you read their mind and you tell them the time. And then as the kicker, they look at the watch and there was never any hands on the watch to begin with. It's just a completely blank watch. That's an incredible trick. And yes, works really well walk around because there's no table required. It happens in the spectator's hands. There is a reset, but it's probably about a 10-second reset. You can't do it in front of an audience, but as you walk away, it takes you like 10 seconds. Then you put the watch back on your wrist and you're ready to go again. You can't use the watch for anything else, unfortunately, but it's really good. So yes. Timeless is great, perfect for walk around. The Miranda routine is also good. So he bought, Miranda bought out a trick, didn't he, called Timeless, which was... I'm not a big fan of that, to be perfectly honest. If you want to know my thoughts on it, go and look at the interview I did during lockdown with Tom Wright, because he loves it and I don't. I'm just not a very big fan of Timeless. If you don't know what it is, it's kind of like a more portable version of the Tommy Wonder ring in is it watch in nest of boxes thing. This is more of a this is more of a practical version, but it's a ring. So it's a ring that vanishes and it appears in a box that's been on the table the whole time inside a watch. I mean, it's clever. Don't get me wrong. It's really clever. And it's a great ending to a ring routine. Aidan McCann did it on Britain's Got Talent. From memory, Aidan McCann definitely did it. And I think it's on one of his appearances on Britain's Got Talent. I know you know Aidan. So you might want to check with Aidan about it. But it's definitely, if that's the timeless that you're talking about, it's not a walk around piece. You've got this big, massive box that you're carrying around with you. If I was doing it, I'd do it as a, if I was going to do it, and my reasoning for not doing it, by the way, is because although it's an impressive ending, I don't think it's any more impressive than other routines that are more practical and more able to be done and repeated walk around. Like Nick Einhorn's Nest of Wallets, for me, is the ultimate way to end a ring routine, or Interlace by Richard Sanders. Or the new version by Vanishing Ink. But if I was going to do this, I'd probably do it at a head table to the bride and groom or the CEO of the company, or even do it in sort of a stage or a parlor situation. It's a good trick. It is a good trick. I'm not going to say it's not. It's a good trick, but you definitely couldn't do it walk around. So I don't know which version of Timeless you're talking about. One really is a walk around piece and one isn't. Take that for what it's worth. Okay, so the next question is from Rob Bailey, who says, "Hi, Craig. I sincerely hope you and your family are well." We're very good. Thank you very much, Rob. You're an absolute trooper for all the work you do and the content you produce, so thank you very much. Thank you, buddy. I have one question, but it's pretty long, so I apologise for that. I'll try and make it as short as possible. In October, I'm taking my daughter all the way to Dallas, Texas, so she can meet a group of 5 TikTokers and YouTubers who are very successful and she's a big fan of. I have paid for an extended meet and greet, which includes taking TikToks with the creators. I know they're not magicians, but they are magic fans and would love to see some magic. I'd like to perform a trick to them each, but not take up too much of their time. Can you recommend some tricks that would be good to perform for young, famous influencers? Also, one of them is particularly keen on magic, and I'd love to teach him something simple that he could perform for others on their podcast. Any ideas? Thanks for your overwhelming service to the magic community. I don't know much about this event, but I imagine that it's going to be like, if it's a meet and greet, they're not going to have much time to spend with each individual person. If it's anything like I imagine it to be in my head, in which case, if you're going to show them a trick, I would make it the quickest trick in the world. Something that's super visual. Like, for example, a good one would be that trick that where you've got the gum and you split it into 2 pieces of gum. That one where you kind of have one gum packet and you go boom and it splits into 2. That would be the sort of thing that I would suggest doing. Or you know, like taking a coin and doing a karate coin, you know, showing them a $50 and doing a visual karate coin or something like that. Something that's really visual that can be done in like literally a couple of seconds. I think that would be the way to go. The thing that Ryland does with the Tic Tacs, where there's a card reveal in the Tic Tacs, you could even just have, you know, a pack of cards, pick a card, force the card, boom, reveal it in the Tic Tacs. I think something really quick and really visual be good, because also if they're famous TikTokers, I mean, I'm not really that big on TikTok, but if they're famous TikTokers, they're probably hang around other TikTokers that are magicians, so they've probably seen a lot of magic, and they're probably, you know, let's be honest, they're short form content creators, so this is not the time to do your 17 phase ambitious card routine or your variation of the 21 card trick. So I'd make it, I'd search for social media magic. The stuff like Luke Ozy does is, or did before he kind of became a performer and moved away from creating, would be the perfect thing to do. Anything like that would be a good shout, I think. I'm trying to think of anything else. Yeah, that's the route that I would go down. I'd have a look at super visual social media style magic. That something where you take something and change it, or anything like that would be really good. In terms of teaching somebody a trick that he could perform for others on the podcast, I mean, the problem is you're going to have a little bit more time to teach somebody a magic trick. But, you know, depending on the situation, I'd maybe give them an invisible day. If you really want them to perform something, I'd give them like an invisible deck and teach them the invisible deck. I mean, let's be honest, it's one of the first things that's taught to people that go into a shop that buy magic. I know the invisible deck was one of the first things I picked up, and it's so strong and it's so powerful. And the thing is, on a podcast, which is normally an audio thing, it still plays as well because it's not visual, but it can be visual. The invisible deck is great. So I would probably say the invisible deck would be a good shout, in all honesty. Other than that, maybe the old dynamic coins where you got little brass caps and the coins are underneath there. Teach them that. That'd be a good one. If you don't want to give them any props and you just want to teach them a trick, just teach them a very quick card force that requires no skill, like a cut deeper force, cut again. You know, they'll be able to do that almost straight away, and, you know, having the ability to predict a card from the very beginning is always a really strong thing to be able to do. So I'd go down any of those routes. Without knowing more about the event or how much time you've got with each person, I can't really be more helpful, but I think that should kind of steer you in the right direction. Okay, so the next question is from Standard. How you doing, my friend? He says, no praise today, as I'm sure people by now know my emotions and opinions on your contributions to magic. Priceless. For this week, my question reads as follows. What advice can you give to someone who feels magically isolated in his, her, or its surroundings, and who occasionally visits nicely looking opportunities where there's a clear plan to just do it and engage people to create some flight time? Also, alas, when at the location nothing feels right and there's not enough drive, might call it courage to start performing. So in the end, you're just lying in bed rethinking the evening and that you again didn't do it. Right? Okay, I'm following what you're saying here, mate. So in other words, you're surrounded, you're feeling isolated, magically isolated in your surroundings. So in other words, there's not really that many magicians around or people to session with. And you go to places where you could perform and get flight time, but it doesn't feel right. And then you get frustrated with yourself afterwards that you didn't perform and you should have. Right, okay, so there's a couple of different things there to unpack. The first thing is, look, I'm going to be completely honest with you, and I'm going to lay it on the line. You've just got to go and do it. If it was easy, everybody would be doing it. You know, if you want to go and perform, you got to go and perform, man. You got to go out there and you got to perform. It's very, very easy. You know, I see this with new magicians that go and do walk-around gigs. I see it all the time, actually. In fact, I booked somebody a little while ago and I saw it firsthand, where they go up to a gig and there's lots of groups, and you can see that they're kind of psyching themselves up to go up to a group, and they walk over to the group, and at the last second they turn and walk in a different direction, and turn and walk in a different direction, and turn and walk in a different direction. The biggest thing, the biggest cause of anxiety when you're performing professionally is going up to that group and actually saying, hey, I'd love to show you a magic trick. Would that be okay? And it's very easy. It's much easier to not do it than it is to do it. And the key thing here is there's nothing I can tell you other than go and do it. Because what's the worst thing that can happen? What's the worst case scenario? What's the absolute worst case scenario? You're not going to have somebody turn around to you and go, fuck off, you dick. You're not going to have that, okay? So what's the worst thing that can happen? They go, yeah, correct. Oh, well, the worst thing that can happen is they go, nah. But it's probably not going to be that, because you're not being booked to perform professionally. You're going to a place where you maybe know everybody. So you're probably not going to get knocked back like that. But so maybe the worst case scenario is they just don't react well to the magic. They go, yeah. Or you get a heckler or something. That's few and far between. That's few and far between. Remember, you're immersed in magic. And what I mean by that is you watch magic 24/7. The simplest thing doesn't probably impress you anymore because you've seen a million forces. You've seen a million revelations of a force card or revelations of a forced item. You've seen that over and over and over and over again. So it doesn't impress you. But to a lay person, and remember, the average person that you meet will never have seen live magic before, ever. You know, the amount of events that I go to and I walk up and I go, hey, my name's Craig, I'm the magician here. How you doing? Have you guys ever seen any magic before? Most of the time they go, no, never seen it live. So you're probably going to be the first person that they've ever seen do magic. And so it's kind of a cool thing, really. Like, hey, you know, I want to come and show you some magic. And they're probably expecting it to be a bit shit. Because if you're not paid to be there professionally, you've just walked over. So you do something that grabs their attention immediately and shows that you're good at what you do. They're going to react. They're going to react well. And I'm telling you, that reaction is a drug that drives you on more than anything else that you could possibly imagine. So my advice is to just go and do it. And I've mentioned this on the channel before, but I'll say it again. You know, I know you know a lot about magic. I know you practice an awful lot, and that's amazing, and that's great. But what we're talking about here is getting your confidence to go out and perform to a group of people, right? So what I would do is I would just keep it simple. As my old sales mentor would say, kiss it, don't kill it. Keep it short and simple. Don't keep it long and lethal. In other words, don't try and do something complicated. Don't try and do something with sleight of hand. Do something that you know is going to work 100% of the time. Do a really cool revelation of a force. Do a cut deeper force. A cut deeper force can't possibly go wrong. It's impossible because you're not even touching the deck. You're not even holding the deck. All they have to do is cut, and they cut deeper, and they're going to get to the card, and then you just show the revelation. And the reactions that you will get from a force of a card like that are over the top, and then that will make you want to perform more and more and more, and you can add more material into your set, and you can start doing all the complicated stuff when you've got your confidence. Or buy yourself a pen pad and write down something simple. You know, just set it up for a force of a film, and have that film printed on a t-shirt that's underneath your jacket, so that you show somebody a notepad and it's got all different films in it. They think of one, you undo your jacket, and your t-shirt is printed with that film on it. I mean, that's an incredibly strong moment, right? But it's also very easy to do. You just give them a pad, they look in it, and you show the revelation. So my advice would be, now this would be different advice if you were happy you didn't do it. But you said that you lie in bed rethinking the evening and annoyed that you didn't do it. So if you know you're going to be annoyed if you don't do it, force yourself to do it. Force yourself at the next situation that you feel that it's a situation you can go and perform. Force yourself to perform to people. Force yourself, and just say to yourself, what's the worst thing that can happen? That's the biggest piece of advice that I can give you. And then regarding being feeling magically isolated, just connect with people on Facebook. You know, join some Discord servers. Obviously, you're in the Netrix. Make sure you attend all of the silver level VMCs. Just connect with as many magicians as possible. As I say, the various different Discords are a good way to go. Various different forums are a good way to go. You know, now more than ever, there are opportunities to network virtually without actually being in the same room as people, so that somebody who's got access to the internet that's miles away from civilization would still be able to, you know, build connections with other like-minded magicians. But the main thing is, you said it here yourself, you want to get flight time. The way to get flight time is to go and perform. So next time you get yourself into a situation where you can go and perform, prepare something super simple that you'll be able to do straight away. And don't not do it. That's a double negative. Do it. Just do it. Because it'll make you so much happier at the end of the night when you look back and you go, yeah, I did it. And then you're going to want to do it again. Okay, so the next question is from Kevin Swizz, who says, hi, Craig. This may be a bit long, but I can't help myself from the utter grittiness I feel right now. I have just returned from the UK to the USA. While there, at your suggestion, I went to visit Alakazam. Oh my God, might be one of the best things I've ever done in my life. And I owe it all to you. When I walked in there, there was the legend Peter talking to Nemid about a trick. I introduced myself, and from that point on, I knew why we say Alakafam. A while back, I asked a question here, which you didn't have the answer to, and your answer was Nemid knew. I reached out to Nemid, who directed me to the answer. It was so awesome to personally be able to thank him for the help. Harry then came out in our conversation, and it came out that my apparition coin purse had torn where the gimmick is. They insisted on replacing it. More proof of the best customer service ever. They told me you were napping. I was in the back room. I'd just finished filming for like 6 hours, and I was doing a 10-minute cat nap. They told me you were napping, and they said that you appeared. And as they said that, you appeared. I've always been told, don't meet your heroes, they'll let you down. When I met you, nothing could be further from the truth. You signed a few Svengali projects for me without even batting an eyelash. You're amazing to meet, and I could not have been kinder answering my questions and showing me some super secret, exclusive future releases, or should I say my future purchases. I was allowed to fool around in the shop with all of you for a while, and it's not every day I get surrounded by such greatness. So first off, thank you and the Nardis for such an awesome day. I was able to purchase a few items which weren't, as of writing, still haven't been released. I am forever in your debt to all that you do. Man, don't worry about it. That's what this community is all about. And it was an absolute pleasure meeting you. Now, for my question, you said you had a book in the works. Is there any idea as to when this will be released? And when it is released, is there any way I'll be able to get a signed copy? It would be highlight of my book collection, as the trip to Alakazam has been one of the highlights of my magical life. Thanks again for all you've done and continue to do for the magical community. It's greatly appreciated. P.S. Still looking forward to seeing you at the Chicago Magic Lounge one day, and maybe even have Ryland doing a Sunday family show. That would be awesome. Yeah, bring Nemeth and Matt along too. Absolutely. It's a goal of mine to go to the Chicago Magic Lounge and perform. That would be amazing. It really would. And it was a pleasure meeting you, Kevin. Really was. And it's so cool that this community is awesome in many, many ways. And I moan about it sometimes. And I will continue to moan about it. But 90% of the people in this community are fantastic. And you are. In terms of the book, of course you can get a signed copy. No problem at all. When is it going to get released? I don't know. Penguin are producing it. And I believe it might even be as late as next year, but early next year. It'll either be late this year or early next year. So I would say in the next 6 months it's out. That's all I can tell you. In the next 6 months it's going to be out. Does that help? It's going to be a great book. It's probably, yeah, it's going to be a great book. It's the thing I'm most excited about. And when you find out who did the forward, you know, it's the fact that I had a forward from the person I consider to be the greatest creator in the world today means the world to me. So yeah, it's coming out. It's coming out soon, and I can't wait for you guys to see it because it's going to be amazing. But Kevin, thank you so much for the kind words, and if there's anything I can do in the future, please just let me know. Okay, so we've had like 3 or 4 people saying it'd be super helpful if I made a video where I create a show reel. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to put together a show reel video. Don't know when. Very, very soon. Leave it with me is what I'm trying to say. Leave it with me and I will definitely get to that. 100%. So, yeah. Yeah, leave it with me. I think that, you know, creating a show reel and doing a video, it'll probably be quite a long video. But doing that, I think, would be a super fun way to show you guys how to make a show reel. So, yeah, I will absolutely do that. Okay, so the next question is from Adrian Suter, who says, "Hi, Craig. I'd love to see a Q&A with Matt. We'll make it happen. But here's a question for you. Apart from shuffleboard, which other Simon Aronson tricks do you like? Apart from shuffleboard, which, well, actually, I can bring this up. And the reason I can bring it up is because I've been doing a video. I've been doing the research for a video on Simon Aronson tricks that I'm going to be filming soon. And some of the ones that I suggest are quite good. Is Aronson Aces, which is his take on the O. Henry's Aces plot. A lot of the stuff that he's done with Memorized Decks, even though I don't use Memorized Decks myself. Red Sea Passover, which is an incredible thought of cards across with odd back cards. That is really, really good. Quadruple Spellbound, I remember learning that when I was a lot younger, trying to do it over and over again and failing miserably. and it was really, really good. So there, Sideswiped, which was the inspiration, or one of the pieces of inspiration behind the magic button. Sideswiped is brilliant. And a really cool location utility move called Marketplace. There's just a few for you. I think Aronson is great. I love Simon Aronson. And yeah, there's going to be a video on him coming soon, so look out for that. Okay, so the next question is... Oh, hang on, these questions might be for Matt. Yes, somebody's asking. I'm going to have to keep track of all of these questions that are for Matt, so when he does his Q&A, I can field all the questions over to him. If you've got any questions for Matt, leave them in the comments down below. And I will and let them know if it's for me or for Matt. We're going to do a one-off Q&A at some point in the week, in the next couple of weeks, with Matt answering questions. So make sure that you put your questions down below for that, but don't confuse things, because you need questions for me as well. So yeah, these questions are for Matt, so I'm not going to answer them. Okay, so the next question is from Jason Staples. It says, "Hi Craig, hope you're well. I have a question for you." Okay. "Why are a lot of magicians not friendly people, and they snub you as well? I find it a lot of conventions. Any advice why?" Okay, so I'm doing a video about this at some point. In fact, by the time you watch this, it might have already gone up. I don't know, because we're kind of filming all over the place at the moment. But there's two reasons. You know, here's the thing, Jason. Okay, so here's the thing. It might not be, let's give credit where credit's due. It might not be that they're snubbing you. It might not be that they're not particularly not nice. It might just be that they're in the middle of something. So I remember I was at a convention. I was at the Blackpool Magic Convention a couple of years ago, and I was at the dealer hall, and Sarah had called me and said, "Meet me at the front door in 20 minutes. I need to speak to you about a problem with something or other." So I was like, okay, no problem, I'll meet you there in 20 minutes. So I was making my way through the dealer hall, and I was getting stopped and having people take photos and stuff, which was really, really cool. And I'd looked at my clock, and I'd spent 25 minutes getting from the dealer hall to the front door, and I still wasn't there. I was in sort of the main lobby area. I was like, oh my gosh, Sarah's going to kill me. So I started moving, and somebody stopped me and said, "Hey," and Sarah was phoning at the same time, and she said, "Hey, I need to speak to you, it's urgent." It was about a gig that we're having an issue with the entertainer being there, so she needed to speak to me urgently. And as this person stopped me, the phone rang, and I looked at the phone, and it was Sarah, and I was like, "Hey, I'm really sorry, I'm just in the middle of something, but catch me later on, I'd love to have a chat." And I just carried on walking, and spent about 15 minutes sorting this problem out. And then the next day, they posted all over Facebook saying I'm the rudest person in the world, and I don't have time for anybody, and I don't care. And that wasn't the case at all. I was just desperately trying to get to the front door, and I had been for a while. And I love hanging out with magicians. And honestly, I don't particularly like hanging out with the ones that are famous or think they're better than everyone else. That's not why that's just not something I'm interested in. I like hanging out with people and just showing each other magic and sessioning. That's what I kind of like doing. You know, I people will say, "Oh, Craig will take time for everybody." Of course I will. I'll stay up till 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning just hanging out and talking to people. So that kind of hurt, because I wasn't trying to upset the person. They just assumed that I was. It was a miscommunication. But, you know, so the point I'm trying to make is sometimes there are situations where people might not be snubbing you. It's just that they're in the middle of something else. That's a possibility. However, and I'm not going to sugarcoat this, there is elitism in magic, and it drives me up the absolute fucking wall. There are people, I don't know what it is, but when somebody gets to a certain point in magic, they think they're better than everyone else. And I know, I've spoken to people. I've seen it on Facebook groups, and I've seen somebody make an innocent comment on a Facebook group, and they've said something, and the same names have jumped on them and attacked them. I've seen people, and I don't want to name names, that's not what this is about, but I've seen well-known magicians that are just looking down on everybody as if they're not important enough to speak to. They've got their own little cliques. I see it all the time. I do. It still exists at the Magic Circle. Now, look, I'm going to advocate the Magic Circle. I am. But, you know, to say that there's not cliquiness in there sometimes, there still is. There still is. There really is. And I know that there's certain members of the council and there's certain members of the Magic Circle that are trying to put a stop to that. And I really believe that steps are being taken. But sometimes you just can't change people's attitudes. And the problem is there's certain people, not just at the Magic Circle, but at other magic conventions and at magic clubs that think because they get paid to go and do magic, they're better than somebody who doesn't get paid, or they're better than somebody that you know, has only been in magic for 6 months, or they're better than somebody that's learnt magic off YouTube. I saw it on Facebook the other day. Somebody saying, "Oh, you learnt magic on YouTube. You're not a real magician." Fuck off. Fuck off. They are a real magician. There's millions of different ways of getting into magic. And you can't say that somebody's a magician or not a magician based on how they learnt magic in the first place and what got them into this wonderful art form. And also, like, stop acting like your shit don't stink. You know, there's people out there that think that they are better than everyone else because they get paid to do a gig, or they're better than everyone else because they get paid more than other people, or they're better than everyone else because they've had 10 minutes on television. That doesn't make you better than everyone else. Some of the worst magicians I've ever seen are people that demand a high fee. Some of the worst magicians I've ever seen are people that have been on television. Just because you've been on television doesn't make you a great magician. Just because you've created a magic trick doesn't make you a great magician. Just because you go and work professionally and you get paid to go and do a gig doesn't make you better than an amateur or a hobbyist that does it socially. They are a million times better than you in many, many different ways. It drives me up the wall. All I can say, Jason, is gravitate towards the people that you enjoy hanging out with. You know, it's that old expression, isn't it? Never meet your heroes. You know, I'll openly say it. I'll openly say it. I don't care. I don't give a fuck. I'll openly say it. I went to the Midwest Magic Convention, and I was lecturing there, and Rylan was performing on the gala show, and, you know, one of the people there was Jay Sankey. And he didn't hang out with anyone at all at the convention. I was hanging out with people all the time. He didn't hang out with anybody at the convention once. He was there to get a paycheck, and then he just pissed off. And I love Jay Sankey. If it wasn't for Jay Sankey, he was a huge inspiration in my career. Watching him perform, watching his magic. But, you know, I had Rylan there with me, and he I don't know. He was there, and, you know, he hung out for a couple of hours. He kind of did his lecture, but the rest of the time he just put his hood on and he just disappeared. Did he hang out at the bar? No. And I think that if you're being paid to be a lecturer at a convention and you're paid to go there, part of the experience that, you know, if somebody goes to Blackpool Magic Convention, for example, and they go because there's a name there, let's say it is Jay Sankey or whatever the name is, they go because, not just because that person's lecturing there, but they go because there's a chance to meet up with them and hang out with them socially. And for you to go to a convention and just hang out there and then just piss off and just, like, disappear and hope that people won't pay you any attention, I don't think that's treating your fans right. I don't think that's treating your fans with respect. I think that you should be present. I think that they've paid the money to be at that convention. Yes, they should come to your lecture, but it shouldn't just be about, right, I'm going to do a 1-hour lecture, I'm going to demo as much stuff as I can because I want to sell it all afterwards and I want people to buy whatever shit I've got for sale, and then I'm going to disappear and count my money in my bedroom and hope that nobody sees me, so I'll put my hood down over my head. I don't want to be that guy. I've never wanted to be that guy, and unfortunately there are people in this business that have been in it for, you know, maybe back in the day when they first got into magic that wasn't the case, but I think at some point they've lost passion for this for this industry, and they've lost passion for this community, and now it's about going somewhere, getting a paycheck, selling as much shit as they can, and then just leaving. That's what I believe, and that's what Jay Sankey did at the Midwest Magic Convention. He was hardly there, and he was there for his lecture, and he was all witty and wonderful and nice and so on and so forth, up until the point that he sold all of his $100 packages or whatever, and then he disappeared and we never saw him again. Whatever. Didn't come to the gala show. I think he stood at the back for a few minutes. Didn't go to the bar, didn't session with people. How can you say you love magic? You've gone halfway across the world and you've not actually hung out with the magicians that are there. You know, what is it? Is it the fact that you think you're better than everyone else? Is it the fact that you can't be arsed? You don't like hanging around with other magicians? What is it? What is the reason? I don't know. I don't care. But if I ever start acting like that on a regular basis and I start going to conventions and I literally just turn up to flog my shit to people and then fuck off and, you know, just do me a favour and shoot me in the head. So, yeah, I got nothing else to say about that. You know, I didn't want this to turn into a rant, but it's not just Jay. There's a lot of people that do it. And unfortunately, it's more and more. It's becoming more and more like that. But you know what? The way you deal with it, Jason, is you hang out with the people that that you want to hang out with. You hang out with the people that are passionate about magic. How can you tell a named magician is passionate about magic? They're sitting down in the bar, they're hanging out with people till midnight, 1 o'clock in the morning, whatever. And then the next day, you see them all over the place. They're hanging out again in the bar. You know, how can you tell they're not passionate about magic and it's just a paycheck? You hardly ever see them around the convention. So, you know, make your own mind up. But from my point of view, elitism in magic is ridiculous. And I don't care if you're the greatest creator in magic. I don't care if you're David fucking Copperfield. I don't care who you are. I don't care what you've achieved. I don't care what you've done. I don't give a shit who you are or what you've done. Nobody is better than anyone else in this community, because the kid that you snubbed, that you walk away from, that you don't want to have any time with, that you don't want to speak to, that kid could be the next greatest magician in magic. And he looks up to you, and he might have, you never know, gone to that convention that day specifically for one reason, which is to meet you. And yeah, whatever. I'm very annoyed about elitism and magic at the moment. I shouldn't have even asked this question. The entire... yeah, there's a lot of people out there that need to grow the fuck up. Okay, so the next question is from Nick Adcock, who says, what would Matt's ultimate trick be to perform no expense spared? Ooh, I would say a really expensive version of Psychic Touches. Oops, sorry. A really expensive version of Psychic Touches, I think, would probably be the answer to that. Because he loves Psychic Touch routines. He's learning one at the moment. I believe he's hanging out with Jamie Dawes, learning Psychic Touches. And Psychic Touch is a great trick. It really is a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful trick. And I think if money was no object, I think he'd buy the best, most expensive version of Psychic Touches, and he'd perform that over and over again. But that's probably a question for Matt. Okay, so the final question is not really a question. I wanted to address a few comments on a video I put up a few days ago, saying, should you quit magic? And it was a video about me giving advice to people that are maybe feeling overwhelmed, burnt out, questioning whether they should continue in magic or not. And a lot of people have said, hey, I hope you're okay. Sorry you have to deal with people. Please don't quit. Maybe you need to slow down the amount of content. But I think that you got the wrong idea, and I think that's my fault. I tried to give the video a frame of reference. The first sort of 15 minutes of the video was me explaining why I felt like quitting magic in the past. I don't feel like quitting magic right now. I'm feeling fine, thank you very much. And I'm no plans of quitting anytime soon. I was trying to give people a frame of reference and trying to say to people, hey, I've got experience when it comes to quitting magic, because I did quit and I left the magic community for years. And also there's been times where I felt like wanting to quit my business, felt like wanting to quit magic. And then I went on in the second half of the video to give advice to people that were feeling burnt out in the magic community. So for everybody who commented, saying, hey, you know, don't quit, don't quit, don't quit. I'm not planning on quitting. I'm not going anywhere. I'm riding high. I'm feeling fine. I'm not a problem at all. I'm not going anywhere. And for the people that said, why would anyone have anything against you? They have. It's just what it is. You know, unfortunately, you put yourself out to the community, and you're going to get any community, not just Magic, but you put yourself out there to the level that I do, and you put the amount of content out that I do, you're going to get people that are not going to be your biggest fan. I've had lots of people tell me that they don't like me, they don't like my content, they don't like my Magic, whatever the case may be. And that's fine. It's all well and good. Awesome. I'm fine with that. That is not a problem. I can handle that. Honestly, I really can. But I'm fine. I'm not planning on quitting. So for everybody who was concerned, I appreciate your concern, but please don't worry. So there you go, guys. That is another Q&A in the bag. Thank you once again for joining me right here on Magic TV. Don't forget, you want to see more videos like this, you got to like the video, subscribe to the channel, leave a comment down below. We've got loads of really cool stuff coming up on the channel this week, so make sure you look out for that. There's a review show tonight. That's going to be awesome. Look out for that. And outside of that, thank you once again for joining me. If you haven't already joined the Netrix, please do so. It's www.thenetrix.com. That's www.thenetrix.com. It's my online streaming platform for magicians. And I've just uploaded my lottery prediction on there, my EDC lottery prediction, which has been a closely guarded secret for around about 15 years. And I've broken down exactly how to do it. So if you're a member of the Netrix, that will be in your accounts now. If not, you can join if you want to. Either way, I'll see you again soon. Thank you so much for watching. My name's Craig, and this is Magic TV.